As the day begins to fold into night, you can allow yourself to settle into a space that feels steady and calm, where the rhythm of your breathing softens and the edges of thought begin to blur, where safety is not something to chase, but something that surrounds you gently, like the warmth of a blanket resting across your shoulders, like the familiar hush of a quiet room at the close of a long day, when nothing more is needed than to rest. You are safe here, with the slow rise and fall of your chest, marking time more kindly than any clock, steady, unhurried, patient. In this place, there is no need to plan or decide or sort through the noise of the hours that came before. Instead, there is only the slow drift into stillness, a letting go of the weight that has been carried, and the comfort of knowing you do not need to hold it anymore. Here, the world outside is distant and muted, as if it belongs to another season, another story. Tonight, the focus turns toward a simple, quiet path, one that follows a riverbank where time seems to pause, where water glides without hurry, and the air carries a coolness that refreshes but never chills. Imagine the faint glow of lamplight glimmering across a surface that never seems restless, where reflections remain long enough to be noticed, and where the only sound is the tender lapping of small waves meeting the shore. Everything is steady tonight, and in that steadiness, you can let your body loosen, your mind soften, and your whole self lean into rest, knowing the current moves gently, without demand, without rush, guiding you toward a night of peace. As you begin to settle more deeply, picture the riverbank that waits quietly at the edge of evening, a place where the air feels fresh but never sharp, where the pace of everything slows into something softer and easier. You might notice how the last traces of daylight stretch across the water in long, unbroken lines, fading from gentle gold to pale silver, until they finally surrender to the calm of night. Each reflection lingers longer than it seems it should, as if the surface of the river understands the value of unhurried moments and offers them back to you as an invitation to rest. The ground near the edge is cool beneath the soles of your feet, softened by grasses that bend easily, carrying the faint scent of earth and water. A lantern set a little way back from the path glows steadily, not bright, just steady enough to mark the boundary between shadow and light. A reminder that even in darkness, there can be comfort. Here along the river, every detail is unpressured. Every sound feels woven into the whole, the ripple of water against stone, the hush of leaves, the quiet pulse of your own breathing. You are in no rush to move forward, and the river is in no rush either. Everything is steady tonight. In this still place, the idea of time softens, no longer divided into hours and minutes, but unfolding gently like ripples on the water's surface. You might imagine sitting on a smooth stone near the edge, feeling the coolness beneath you, resting your hands on your knees, noticing how natural it feels to pause. The more you notice, the calmer it becomes, as if every detail exists simply to help you let go. Even the air seems to carry a rhythm, brushing softly across your skin, lifting gently, then settling again. A quiet reminder that you can breathe with ease. As the night grows deeper, the outlines of trees blur into silhouettes, the reflections stretching out and blending with the water, creating shapes that are both familiar and endlessly changing. The lantern light sways faintly in a breeze, not enough to disturb, just enough to remind you that even stillness has its gentle movements. And that movement can be calm, can be steady, can be a comfort. Everything is steady tonight, and in this quiet riverside world, there is space for you to rest fully, without effort, without need, carried by the calmness of the water, held by the steadiness of the night. The riverbank, where time stands still, becomes not just a place, but a rhythm, a gentle loop that carries you again and again through calmness. Each pass slower, each pass easier, like the way water folds over itself in endless return. Imagine sitting near the water, noticing the small details that do not change even as the night deepens, the glimmer of reflected light, the faint scent of moss, the unhurried roll of air along your cheek. And as you notice, the idea of measuring moments by a clock begins to fade, replaced by the softer way nature measures in shadows and reflections in the steady flow of water. The river teaches patience, showing you that to linger is enough, that to wait is not delay, but comfort, that each pause is a gift of stillness waiting to be received. You watch the water slide past stones that never move, stones rounded and smooth from years of gentle contact, their surfaces worn not by force but by time itself, softened by a patient touch that never rushed, never pressed. This is how the mind can be softened too, not through effort, but through repeated, quiet contact with calmness. The same way you return again and again to the idea of this place. Everything is steady tonight. You picture reeds bending toward the water, their shapes swaying in the faintest movement of air, not hurried, not forced, simply leaning into the rhythm around them. And in their leaning, you find an image of ease. A bird settles further down the bank, tucking its head beneath a wing, its rest simple and complete, and you too are invited to fold into stillness, to allow yourself to be carried without demand. Each moment stretches, then fades into the next, like ripples that extend outward, always touching, always joining, always becoming part of a greater calm. You notice again how the surface of the river catches light differently depending on where you look. Sometimes shimmering, sometimes dark, sometimes so smooth it appears like glass, but always moving, always alive in a way that comforts rather than stirs. The lantern on the path remains steady, casting a circle of soft gold that reaches just far enough to feel like home. And when you look away from it toward the open water, you find a different kind of glow. The dim silver moonlight resting on the surface, a reminder that multiple lights can exist together, each one gentle, each one kind. The longer you remain, the more the sense of time as something sharp and measured dissolves, till only the flow remains, the continuous, unbroken, effortless flow. Everything is steady tonight. In this cycle of noticing and returning, of watching and resting, you've come to understand that rest is not something to achieve, but something to allow. The way the river allows each drop to join and continue, never resisting, never clinging. You imagine dipping your fingers into the cool water, feeling its smoothness slide past, not holding on, just noticing, just being part of its passage. And in that act, you to become part of the flow, moving with it, carried by it. The trees along the edge lean slightly inward, as if to watch, their branches outlined against the night sky, still and graceful, while beneath them, shadows pool quietly, undisturbed, undemanding. The sound of the water is constant, but soft, like a lull that folds into the background, not asking for attention, but offering it freely if you choose to listen. The riverbank itself feels timeless, as though it has always been here, always waiting, always ready to offer its calm to anyone who lingers. And in that timelessness, you find ease, you find release. Everything is steady tonight. With each breath you take, the rhythm of the river joins the rhythm of your body, slow, even, natural, until both seem to move together, inseparable, steady, simple. And as this loop continues, you notice that nothing new is needed, nothing more is asked. Only the gentle return to the same images, the same sounds, the same feelings of calm, repeated until the repetition itself becomes comfort, becomes rest, becomes sleep waiting softly at the edge of awareness. Along the same quiet riverbank, the night unfolds again and again, each cycle a deepening of calm, each return an easing of thought. And the longer you stay, the more the patterns of this place surround you with steadiness. The water glides by, never hurried, never still, moving with a rhythm that does not ask you to follow, but gently carries you along when you are ready. And is flowing, you find a picture of peace. You might notice the way the grass near your feet bends beneath the softest weight of dew, cool to the touch, yet gentle, a reminder that even the smallest details can ease the senses. A lantern glows behind you, its light steady, its circle of gold resting softly on the ground. And beyond it, the silhouettes of trees stand tall and unmoving, their shadows stretching long into the water. Each repetition of these details becomes a comfort. It's like a lullaby that does not change, but soothes through its very constancy. And with every return, your breathing falls into rhythm with a quiet outside. Everything is steady tonight. When you look across the water, you may see the faint shimmer of moonlight playing across the surface, breaking into threads that weave and dissolve, never fixed, always reshaping, yet always calm. The reeds lean toward the current, swaying faintly in the breeze. Their movements small but endlessly patient, like the rhythm of your thoughts as they began to slow and soften. You might recall how stones at the edge of the bank remain unchanged, rounded smooth, not by force, but by time itself, shaped by the patient touch of countless quiet moments. And this image becomes a lesson for your mind as well. That soft repetition wears away sharpness, leaving only ease. In this place, time has no sharp edges, no divisions, only the gentle flow from one breath to the next, one ripple to another. And as you linger, the sense of needing to measure falls away. Everything is steady tonight. And as you notice once more the glow of lamplight, the curve of water, the softness of night air brushing against your skin, you realize that every return is another layer of rest, another chance to let go, another moment where the world pauses and holds you in stillness. The sequence of these details becomes familiar. The sound of water, the hush of leaves, the faint coolness of stone, the steady glow of light, the endless flow of air. And as they repeat, they do not press upon you, but cradle you, reminding you again and again that rest is allowed. Each cycle deepens the calm, not by adding more, but by showing that enough already exists, so that the simple scene of a river at night can be everything you need to drift. Everything is steady tonight, and in that steadiness, you feel the edges of wakefulness soften, the weight of the day fall away, the quiet rhythm of the river join your own, guiding you toward a rest that is complete, unhurried, and whole. As the riverbank settles deeper into night, the patterns you have seen before return once more, not as new discoveries, but as gentle reminders, each repetition smoothing the mind, each cycle loosening the body further into stillness. The glow of the lantern rests in its familiar place, casting that same soft circle on the path, while the water continues its endless motion. Never rushing, never pausing, simply flowing as it always has. You notice again the reeds leaning gently toward the current, their delicate sways echoing the rhythm of your breathing, slow and even, and with each rise and fall, you feel more connected to the calm around you. The trees stretch their silhouettes into the dark sky, their branches outlined faintly in silver, and beneath them, shadows rest quietly along the bank, unmoving, undemanding, part of the timeless picture. The air brushes across your skin, cool but tender, lifting slightly, then settling again, a rhythm that mirrors the gentle turning of thought into rest. Everything is steady tonight. When you look closer at the surface of the river, you see the same ripples catching light, the same shapes stretching and dissolving, always shifting, yet always the same. And you realize that change itself can be steady when it follows such a patient rhythm. The stones remain at the edge, smooth and rounded from years of water's touch. Their stillness, a comfort, their permanence, a quiet reminder that some things endure no matter how often the current moves past. In this place, time is no longer measured by hours or moments, but by the return of familiar details, the repetition of gentle sounds, the unbroken sequence of soft breaths and flowing water. Everything is steady tonight, and as you linger in these cycles, each return feels more restful than the last, each familiar image more calming, until your thoughts no longer need to wander, but can simply rest. Like the bird tucked quietly beneath its wing along the shore, still and safe. The lantern light, the ripple of water, the whisper of leaves, the coolness of night air, the steady curve of shadows, all repeat in gentle sequence. And as they do, they cradle you deeper, wrapping you in the same timeless calm that has held this riverbank through countless nights. With every repetition, you feel the weight of wakefulness dissolve, leaving only the softness of rest, its quiet rhythm of breath, the endless patience of water. Everything is steady tonight. And now, as the river continues to flow, you allow yourself to drift fully with it, guided not by thought or effort, but by the steady, unchanging calm of a night that asks for nothing more than sleep. Good night.